As a black man, there's nobody out there that will sexualize you more than a white man does.
The amount of times I've been on dates with white men and they've asked me if I've dated black guys before is ridiculous.
So I am replying to this guy because I find it very interesting, the points he's making, okay? In terms of revealing a lot about himself. He says Ghana is popular with Western women. It's like Thailand except for white women looking for black men.
Dr. Hacker, it doesn't appear as though you really paint a very pretty picture of white people in general insofar as you see.
So why do non-black men get so upset with non-black women when they date outside their race?
This may be surprised, but if you ask me, white men probably fetishize black men's bodies the most. Although,
why are y'all still mad about white girls dating black guys? Who the fuck cares? Get the fuck over it. If you're not my type, you're not my type. If you're not they type, you're not they type. Who the fuck cares who date to anymore? Like, who the fuck cares? I like black guys. And that's it. Leave it at that. If you ain't black.
Bro, I just saw a video of a guy telling the women to comment if a white guy they've ever been with has asked them if they've ever been with a black guy. And I kid you not, every single comment said the same thing, that every single white person that girl has been with has asked them if they've ever been with a black guy. And I just want to know, like, why? Like, why do y'all care so much? I'm genuinely curious. Why is such a problem? Because they all said that whenever they asked and they told them yes, it was an issue for them. So, like, why is it such a problem if they've been with a black guy? I'm very, very curious to hear these answers.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and you're most welcome to today's video. If you're new here, you're most welcome, and if you're my returning viewer, thank you so much for always watching my videos. We need to talk about something that is really uncomfortable but real. I don't know if you have realized that there is a pattern where some men, especially online and even physically, seem overly focused on black men's sexuality, especially when interracial dating is involved. And this is not a joke because it happens. Many people have experienced it. Some people have had real conversations or encountered men, especially the white men, who have asked them questions about black men, especially in relationships. And we are going to see where some white women are also confirming this, saying that some white men are really fixated on black men's sexuality. So we are going to listen to some of these people. Then we shall also give our views or our thoughts down in the comments. And please remember to give this video a like, subscribe, and let's catch up after the clips are played.
The amount of times I've been on dates with white men and they've asked me if I've dated black guys before is ridiculous. I was on a date with this white guy in Chicago last year and he goes, so who do you typically date? The guys that look like me? I knew exactly what he was getting at because most white guys will ask this question at some point because they're trying to figure out ultimately if you're, quote, tainted. I literally said to him, does it bother you that you think about black men so much more than they will ever think about you? And that ended the conversation, but obviously we didn't go on a second date and I do think he was pretty offended by that. But the amount of white guys, even who are, quote, liberal, who are genuinely threatened and intimidated by you going on a date with people of color is ridiculous. Because it's not just black men. If they find out that you've dated a South Asian man or you've been on dates with women, specifically women of color, they will react similarly. Although it is obviously the most pronounced and genuinely disgusted that they will look if you say that you have been on dates with black men. But this is just one example of white men trying to figure out the, quote, purity of the white women they're seeing. And it's a way of resource guarding their own women because they don't like white women seeing other races or other genders.
this may be surprised, but if you ask me, white men probably fetishize black men's bodies the most. Although not always sexually from a space of gratification, but through this vicarious consumption of black men's bodies. We see it mostly to me in sports, but also in porn, in the arts, etc. We see it in how white men sexualize and castrated black men during lynches. And the most heinous acts of white terrorism from the past, from Rosewood to Tulsa to St. Louis, were often in the name of protecting the virtue of white women from black men. Basically, since slavery, black men's sexuality has been imprisoned by this intersection of racist and misandrous violence. And over time, as with many cultural taboos, in a conservative society, it has turned into genuine fetish and kink. Myths about the size of black men's penis, black men as excellent lovers, the celebration of idealized black men's physiques, A bevy of sex toys meant to resemble the mythologized, disembodied phallus of black men, along with more than a few jokes, tropes, and myths about black men's sexuality. Things that aren't only fetishized by white men and women, but men and women of all races, black women included, and black men as well. Black men today still participate in and or reject this image and what that means for us in terms of sex. To start, and this is something that will be repeated, of all the things stripped from us as men, this mythology is one thing that, while distorted, we still have some level of agency over, and in many ways it's a key component to some of us finding avenues for success and personal capital through our arts.
So I am replying to this guy because I find it very interesting, the point he's making, okay, in terms of revealing a lot about himself. He says Ghana is popular with Western women. It's like Thailand except for white women looking for black men. Something I have noticed is white men are absolutely obsessed with the sexuality of black men. I am a heterosexual woman and date all types of men, truly, all kinds of men. And I have to be honest, white men are obsessed with black men. They're obsessed. They are totally hyperfixated on the sexuality of men, not just black men, I suppose, men who are not white. They're absolutely hyperfixated on their sexuality. And to the point that they ask questions like this or make points like this. I've had white men ask me about, ask me intimate details about men that I've dated in the past. This is also connected to the comments I got yesterday. Multiple comments, there were like over 10 from white men saying, you may hope and pray, or, watch out in case you or your family get raped by a black or brown man. That's actually what they said, and I could go through and compile like a video of the comments, but I can't be asked at the moment. But yeah, they're absolutely hyperfixated, and I just want to make it really clear again. The most scared I've ever been is when I lived in Ardernlee in East Belfast. I just made a video just there showing you places I've travelled. Lived in Ghana, like I said, for 3 months. I was working in Ghana, like I wasn't there for. And it's funny, you're projecting again, because white men go to Thailand, so you're assuming that the only reason I would go to another country is for sex. But yeah, like I say, I've travelled around the world, and the most threatened and the most scared that I've ever felt in my entire life was walking home at night through Ardernlee. I remember whenever Uber came to Belfast, I was like, thank fuck, because it was really hard to get a taxi sometimes, on the phone. And I was like, thank fuck, because I was so scared walking home at night in East Belfast. And yeah, your hyperfixation on sex for everyone, but in particular for women and men of colour, shows me that there's really something to be concerned about with you and all of you ones who comment like this.
Dr. Hacker, it doesn't appear as though you really paint a very pretty picture of white people in general insofar as you see white-black race relations. Can you expound on that, sir?
Well, interestingly, you use the phrase race relations. I don't think there are many relations between black and white people. What I would say very simply is that those of us who are born with this pigmentation have certain privileges, things we can take for granted, we have the safety, the security, so we don't want to lose this. Now, this also means that, and here's the unpleasant part, that so much of our safety, security, status comes from putting down black people, saying we're not like them. We're Europeans, we're more highly evolved, we've got talents they don't have. And that's where you get, the flip side of this, which really is the ugly side of racism.
Mm-hmm. Well, how much does sex and sexuality really have to do with race relations, particularly between white men and black men?
Well, if you take white men and black men, let's take it two ways.
Okay.
If a white man is walking down the street and he sees a couple, a very attractive black man, really masculine, and with him a very attractive white woman, very white, we'll make her blonde, He looks at that woman and he wonders, this is the white man, what does she see in him? What do they do together? And it really drives us, up the wall, because she's a woman who could choose, a white guy, but she chooses a black guy. And that really bothers us. And As a result, what we want to do is some way take that black man away, because we begin to say, hey, is she having a better time with him, in various ways than she can with me? And so he's competition for us, and you know how people react to competition.
So why do non-black men get so upset with non-black women when they date outside their race? Right? Why is that? I'm gonna tell you why, and it's a very easy answer. I literally had a Puerto Rican dude that I had just met on a beach a few weeks ago ask me what was the race of my ex, and he asked me if it was a black guy. And he was like, because I gotta let you know, I'm not packing like black men are. So number one is they feel insecure about their wee-wee. Even though there are, men of color who are not packing either. I've been with a few shrimpy shrimps. I've been with some small guys. Like my baby father, I used to think he was big until I found out he wasn't. But a lot of non-black men are very insecure about that. So that's why they'll bash women of their race for getting with black men. Because of that. They'll feel like they cannot compete sexually. Another reason why non-black men are intimidated and get very upset and insecure when non-black women get with black men is because they feel like they cannot fight or beat up black men. They're scared. So they feel like if you were to cheat, or you guys were out in the streets and a black man was trying to get with you, they would be pussy. They wouldn't know what to do. Like they're the type to get beat up in front of their girl. Like they're afraid of that. They don't want to be emasculated or look like the punk or the less masculine one in the situation. And because of stereotypes from slavery, and maybe there is some genetic, science behind this as well. I'm not exactly sure, so I have no idea. But maybe black men overall, maybe they are more athletic and stronger. I don't know scientifically if it's 100% fact, but I do know because of slavery and breeding plantations, black men were treated as a commodity and they were definitely exploited. So I'm guessing being exploited for hours and hours a day, being forced to live in extreme conditions would make anybody extremely strong. But there could be proof that their DNA and just naturally they may be stronger than non-black men. I don't know, so I don't want to say anything that's not accurate, but we can tell from boxing and fighting as a sport. But overall, in general, non-black men are usually afraid of black men. So there's also that. So they're insecure about the sex, and they also feel like they cannot beat a black man up or win in a fight. There you go.
As a black man, there's nobody out there that will sexualize you more than a white man does. Not white women, no other race of women, no other race of man. It's the white man. And if you played sports, or if you've worked in like a kitchen or like a warehouse even, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like if you stand around a white dude long enough, there's like a 80% chance he's going to ask how big you are, and like how many women you be with. And like, it's really uncomfortable, bruh. It's really uncomfortable because it's like, you won't even be talking about anything sexual. But if it's slightly adjacent to it, they're going to try and work that into the conversation somehow because they have a weird obsession with black men and what they got going on down there. The white man's fascination and obsession with the black phallus, the BBC, is incredibly like unsettling and insane. And once you come to the realization of what's going on, you won't be able to look at it the same. You know what I'm saying? Because like for me, I didn't really mind it too much when I was like younger in high school, but like as time went on, I'm starting to notice a pattern. It's getting worse because I played college ball, you know what I'm saying? And once I got to college, it got so much worse, bruh. And just like anything, it goes back to slavery and the sheer surprise of what the Europeans saw whenever they came to Africa. Really, white men have an unhealthy obsession with like black bodies in general, but it's just like, since I'm a man, I'm speaking on like the male issue, the male part of it. And there's another aspect to this where it's like more physical, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like the white men want to have so many fantasies about overpowering a black man physically. And again, it goes back to slavery with like buck breaking. And there's not a lot of like concrete evidence that points towards like the existence of buck breaking, but like I don't put anything past these folks. You know what I'm saying? And they want to feel like they can, or they fantasize about physically overpowering a black man by like fighting them or just like straight up taking a life. You know what I mean? Because it's like they have this like irrational fear within themselves, and like under patriarchy there's something that's going on in their brains where it's like there's like a little bit of like cognitive dissonance, and it's like I can't be a manly man and be scared of any black man no matter what they look like. So it's like they fantasize constantly about overpowering a black man physically in order to reclaim that self-inflicted emasculation. You know what I mean? Because it's like they want to feel like they have real power again, and that's why you get things like lynchings and blaming black men for sexually assaulting their women and giving themselves a reason to be violent towards black men. You know what I mean? So it's once you realize what's going on around you with like the white man and like the kind of questions they're asking you about what you got going on down there, you really like become extremely uncomfortable whenever like these kind of situations arise.
You know, when you're new into something, there are things that you come across or that you encounter and you don't take it serious, but they leave you wondering. I remember those days when I was on the dating apps, I would come across some white men who could ask questions like, what size do you prefer? You know what I mean? And then others would even just ask you whether they can show you what they have. And you're like, why? Why do you want to show me? And then they would say, because we hear that the black men or the African men, they have bigger ones than maybe ours. That's why I need to show you early on so that you can decide whether we can go on or not. So I used to find it so funny and awkward and like unusual, because I'd never experienced something like that where a man had to ask me things like that. Some just show you without even you saying anything. Maybe you're having a video call and then the other person out of nowhere shows you his thing, his eggplant. Then some would send photos. They just want you to confirm whether you're okay with it. So this whole idea did not just appear on social media out of nowhere, but it goes way back. Like some of those people have also said, historically, where black men were portrayed in two ways. One, as dangerous to the white women, while at the same time hyper-sexualized. There was that idea that was being pushed that black men were more physically dominant or sexually superior. So there was that mix of fear and fascination. And of course, like we all know, men compete with each other while women also compete with each other or compete against each other. And that contradiction did not fully go away. It's still happening up to today, in ways whereby anytime a black man is with a white woman, the conversation often shifts towards body comparisons, sexual jokes. We have heard of the BBC. Some men comment that black men are well endowed down there. We have seen this online and they are scared of them. Then also some women are made to give explanations as to why they chose, say, the black men or the black man. So that is not just a coincidence, but history, which brought all these stereotypes being just repackaged. Then also, is it insecurity which causes this? Yeah, I think sometimes it is insecurity. For some men, especially those who tie their identity to their masculinity and desirability, seeing interracial relationships can feel like a competition. So instead of processing all that, they just project like one man they are shared. They turn it into comparisons, stereotypes, or even jokes. However, the core isn't just about black men or white women either, but it's about how society has linked race to identity, status, and masculinity. So when some people see a relationship that challenges their own expectations, instead of just accepting it, they try to explain it using stereotypes, because stereotypes are easy, but the reality is it's complicated. So people forget to think about why people connect, like the attraction, the personality, the compatibility, the shared values, and the honest love that these two people may be having, and instead connect them to controversial things or stereotypes. So what do you think about this? Should we be having such conversations up to today? Why should some men still be feeling insecure in 2026? Thank you so much for staying with me. I'll catch up with you in the next video.